Belakangan saya sedang mengisi konten di TikTok. Jadi saya memiliki program bercerita tentang hal-hal gaib yang ada di daerah-daerah.
AGT performance for Sacred Riana was seen by 84 million people. Lighter was there, but cameras didn't show it. The broadcast went black during her act in the quarterfinals. Around her, staff whispered about weird accidents and broken equipment. Some people wouldn't go into the rooms where she practiced. In 2023, the last person who called her by her real name died, which broke her heart. She had a total breakdown and stopped being seen by anyone. The shocking truth about what fame had really cost her came out in her 2024 Poi for Return. She was born in Jakarta, Indonesia, on July 13, 1992. She is known around the world as the Sacred Riana. Every time she opened her eyes, her life was different from the last one. Krishyandi Yuniarto, her father, was not like other magicians. He was very good at creating mental images. His magic wasn't about getting praise. It was meant to make people feel uneasy and make them wonder what was real. When Riana was a child, she saw him turn ordinary rooms into places where shadows seemed alive and quiet felt heavy. Every day she lived in a world where fact and illusion mixed. With its long history of witchcraft and ghost stories, Jakarta made this world even stranger. She was already a live ghost story by the time she first showed up on TV. Her style was a scary mix of Indonesian culture, the dark art her father made, and psychological tricks. In 2019, there will be a scary movie called The Sacred Riana Beginning. She made up a past that was just as scary as her real one. In that story, her family ran a small-town funeral home. Her dad made graves. Her mother got bodies ready to be buried. Every day, death was all around little Riana. She wasn't scared, though. She seemed to find peace with the dead, as if she knew them better than people who were still alive. Then bad things happened. Her family ran away to Jakarta. Losing her home and being uprooted made her world even darker. The funeral home and its quiet sadness will always be a part of her. She had a fixed gaze and moved slowly, like she was doing a rite on stage. She turned her fear into art. She didn't play games or talk much as a child. Some people said she was scary alert. She would watch from the corners. She asked adults questions about life and death that made them speechless. Ghost stories made her feel better. She was interested in cemeteries and empty houses. It was dark, but she walked toward the kids while they ran away. It was early for her family to see it. It wasn't just a phase, that's what she was. When Riana made up her stage image, she got ideas from scary things. Sadako, the ghost from the Japanese movie Ringu, helped her choose what to wear. The white dress, the long hair over her face, and the quiet threat. But Riana added something new. She mixed this scary stuff with the magic of Chris Angel, David Copperfield, and Darren Brown. She made people freeze with fear while they were amazed. Her moves were planned. She worked out for hours to get better at them. The quick twitch of the head, the slow blink, and the stiff hands that looked like puppets. Even the way she stood with her legs bent, which made her look like a broken doll. Everything went as planned. She played the part for hours, never talking to anyone off stage. She never let the fantasy fall apart. It became harder to tell the difference between Riana the person and Riana the ghost. Riana, her doll, became her best friend. The doll wasn't just acting because it was dressed like Riana and had a blank look on its face. It was her. People had different ideas about what Riana meant when she said, "Riani protects me." Some people said the doll stood for her lost youth. When she forgot the doll one time, she wouldn't act until it was brought to her, even if it meant sending someone across Jakarta at midnight. The doll helped her feel safe in a scary world she had made. Even her voice was made to sound like a haunting whisper, a soft voice that wasn't quite young nor fully grown up. She worked on it for months to get it right. Every word she said on stage was important. People got chills just from hearing it. The most scary thing about her story might have been how she erased her old self. She cleared out all of her social media. There were no more pictures, posts, or other traces of Marie Antoinette Riana Graharani. Riana's friends were shocked, but she thought it was time. It was important that the holy Riana was real and not just a figure. People didn't know for years if she was real or a ghost. This erasure put an end to her mythology. It took away a part of her, but it made her famous. Something amazing happened on Indonesian TV on November 17, 2013. A young woman named Marie Antoinette Riana Graharani walked out on stage at the Next Mentalist, a magic show. She would be known as the Sacred Riana in no time. One of her legs was bent, and she always held a doll named Riani in her arms. She looked like she had just woken up from a bad dream. Millions of people were shocked as she performed. She never spoke, barely moved, and always had that creepy, ghostly look on her face. At first, no one thought much of her, but she surprised everyone. In the end, she came in second. Such a strange style for someone so new made it possible. People talked about how creepy and quiet she was. What kind of magic did she do? Or was there something really magical about her? By the end of the show, a lot of people were interested in Riana. Over 70 million people would watch her movies online in the end. Things were hard for her behind the scenes, though. A lot of people in the entertainment business didn't want anything to do with her after her first big show. The show's producers said it was too scary for kids. Some TV stations wouldn't show her at all. They were afraid that parents and religious groups would say bad things about them. She was dropped by or asked to change what she did by at least 5 big shows. They wished she were not so scary. They told her to speak up. They even told her to make her makeup less harsh. That's how Riana felt. It looked like she might lose her job before it even began. She almost gave up, but she didn't. She became more determined as they turned their backs on her. People who didn't believe in her at first slowly changed their minds. A big part of Riana's strength was also what made her life so hard. She refused to ever do something wrong, not on stage, in interviews, or even behind the scenes. Even when no one was looking, she always behaved like the holy Riana. That's what she did instead of talking. She wouldn't look people in the eye. She kept moving in that strange way. People found it tough to work with her because of this. Some leaders had to write her notes because she wouldn't answer them directly. Some interviewers gave up because she would only answer with one word or nothing at all. She felt like the holy Riana all the time, like Marie had disappeared, even her team said. She changed her name on official records and social media to hide who she really was. They are trying to keep the story going. Life for Riana wasn't very exciting from 2013 to 2016. She was having trouble with money even after her name became well known. She often did shows for very little money at small parties or neighborhood events. It cost a lot to keep up her look. She had to take care of her outfits, makeup, and props all the time. It got tough for her sometimes because she needed to pay for basic things or her show. When she wasn't working, her family helped her out, but there were months when she barely made any money. Bali's magic scene didn't pay well, and she wasn't going to change her act to get better jobs. She thought that being herself would pay off in the end. Her life became more lonely over time. Marie and Riana, who is holy, became less different from each other. She quit going to events with her family. She didn't talk much when she wasn't on stage. The people she cared about most thought she had turned into a ghost. They said it felt like trying to get in touch with someone who wasn't there. Riana had put everything she had into her role. Everyone was shocked when Riana tried out for Asia's Got Talent in 2017. It played at the end of 2017 and quickly went viral. She looked like a girl who was quiet and nervous. Most of her face was hidden by her hair. In her hands was a scary doll that seemed to be alive. There was no sound at the beginning of the act. She was creepy and moved slowly all the time. It was impossible for the judges and the crowd to look away. She did some weird tricks. One was a card trick that moved around by itself. The end was the scariest part. She was in a picture standing next to Judge Ongun, but Ongun didn't remember seeing her. Ongun looked scared. She was so scared that she moved back. In just a few weeks, more than 70 million people watched the interview on YouTube and Facebook. The performance was one of the most watched on The Voice ever. People who saw it said it was the scariest act in the history of the show. There were clips of Ongun's real fear going around everywhere. Riana's mix of scary and magical sounds amazed people all over the world. She wasn't the favorite going into the big finale on December 14, 2017. Lots of people thought that the Filipino dance group DMX Convalenos would win. The judges and fans were impressed by how hard they worked and how skilled they were. It looked like even the judges, like David Foster and Jay Park, wanted the Filipino team to win. Then, something happened that no one saw coming. The holy Riana won. It was all because people voted. She won the big prize of $100,000. There was no one else like her who had ever won a big international talent show before her. Her fans got together to back her up. At the end, there were 3 Filipino acts. It looked like the Philippines would win, but Riana's win changed what people thought a talent show winner could be. People in the crowd picked something bold and different. The story was even weird because of what went on behind the scenes. The judges were really scared by Riana's efforts. Ongun was hurt the most. Riana picked her over and over again as the target. She did scary tricks and seances that seemed too real to be true. Ongun really was scared. She ran off stage or stepped back sometimes. She said she had bad dreams after the show. The team often made fun of the idea that Ongun needed comfort after every rose he did. More scary was the fact that Riana never changed her character. Even when there were no cameras around, she was still and quiet. Judges and workers were still uneasy after the acts were over. Riana made people afraid in a way that was hard to forget. Everyone knew right away. The news spread her story all over the world just hours after she won. The number of people who follow her on social media grew to millions. She was being asked to do shows in the US, Europe, and Asia. They were so excited to have her at the event. She was asked to be on talk shows and go to big events, and offers to be in movies and TV shows. Her boss said that she always stayed true to herself. Fans were expecting the scary girl they saw on TV, and she didn't want to let them down. So many people wanted her to perform that she didn't stop for months. She went to places she had never been before. People all over the world were moved by her mix of fear and magic. Sacred Riana's audition on season 13 of America's Got Talent was one of the scariest times in the show's history. For some reason, more than 84 million people have watched it online. Riana walked onto the stage with a scary look on her face. She jerked, kept quiet, and held on to her creepy doll. As she walked toward the judges' table, the room felt heavy. Everyone was looking at Mel B. Riana first showed a newspaper article about a fire that killed a lot of people. Then she gave Mel B a group of pictures of murder victims and told her to pick out a killer. Riana took a Polaroid picture of Mel B after she pointed to one. Mel B froze when the picture came out. In the picture, Bob, the alleged killer, stood behind her like a ghost. He seemed to be watching her from another world. People in the room gasped. Mel B yelled in shock. The picture went viral online like flames. Not everyone agreed on whether it was a camera trick or something more sinister. This was one of the scariest things I've ever seen on live TV. Riana's face was still, and Mel B's fear was clear. What really made it stand out was how Simon Cowell reacted to it. Simon slammed his red button during Riana's performance, but it wasn't because he didn't like it. They rarely show fear. His face was filled with fear. The show kept getting better. Polaroid, the quiet, and the stress. Everyone was startled when Simon blew his bell. Mel B yelled and asked him why he did it. The crowd was shocked. Even the other judges were scared. A judge usually buzzes because they're scared, not because they're bored. People looked at Simon's every move to see if he really believed something strange was going on as the video went viral. This added to the scary story about Riana. She played in the semifinals on August 21, 2018, and things got stranger. She used voodoo toys and ghostly doubles this time. Mel B was in the middle of everything. The act got worse until all of a sudden, the TV went dark in the middle of a scream. People at home looked at their screens blankly. Then, there were the ads. Riana wasn't on the show when it came back on. The judges said some strange and unclear things. No one talked about the blackout. Social media went crazy. What was wrong with the tech? Strict rules? What about something much scarier? After a few days, the truth came out. The blackout was planned by the makers to get people talking and make the act seem even scarier. It worked. People talked about it more than any other part of the season. It was hard for fans to keep track of what was real and what was fake. Behind the scenes, having Sacred Riana around made things even worse. Some crew members wouldn't be alone with her during practices because they thought she was so creepy. She always stayed true to herself. She didn't say anything. Strange and twitchy things she didn't stop when the cameras were off. When she was around, people talked about getting chills and having strange problems. Lights flashed. Something broke down. Some staff members would not even go into the rehearsal area if she was there. Riana got under their skin like no one else had, even AGT pros who had been on the show for years. This fear behind the scenes made her fame even bigger. It wasn't enough in the end. Sacred Riana was knocked out in the semifinals on August 27, 2018. Not enough people voted for her. She lost to groups like Transcend. Fans were shocked. A lot of people thought it was bad for the show. Sources close to Riana said she was devastated and disappointed. People didn't get her style of scary magic, and she felt like they didn't understand her. The Holy Riana moved from the world stage to the big screen on March 14, 2019. It wasn't just another scary movie. It was the first time that someone from America's Got Talent had a lead role in their own movie. Beginning told the scary story of her youth. In a small town, Riana's family ran a burial home. Because of the bad luck, they moved to Jakarta. What did Riana find? She found a strange doll and named it Riani. She only had the doll as a friend. She held on to it so tightly that she stopped going to school and stayed away from everyone. Weird things began to happen. Things got scary after her teacher came to see her. People watched and wondered what was real and what Riana was thinking. Indonesia was the first place to see the movie. It later made its way to Malaysia and Singapore. The movie made Riana a star in her own country and a horror icon in her own area. On July 28, 2022, the Holy Riana 2, also known as Bloody Mary, came. This time, I was more scared. The story was about Riana's desperate search for her lost doll in a haunted apartment for girls. The movie was filmed at the Van der Wijk Fortress in the middle of Java. This is a place where ghost stories get told. There were better special effects. The scary things seemed more real. What scared me the most was how much the job changed Riana herself. She always played her part, on and off the set. The cast and crew were scared for her. They were afraid that the part would change her in ways that would last a long time. The movie was a huge hit. Fans crowded into cinemas and were truly moved by her performance. Riana tried something new after these movies. She was a judge on The Great Magician Show from December 2019 to March 2020. She didn't change how scary she was, though. She judged with the same blank look and stiff, slow moves that made her famous. She didn't say much. Instead, she used small movements. The contestants were both proud and scared. They had no idea what her silence meant. People loved it. More people watched the show. A lot of people watched just to see what she did next. That was not all Riana did. On Spotify, she started a show called Kisa Horror, The Sacred Riana. It was a big hit. She told scary stories from her own life and from the stories that had motivated her. Many of her fans said it seemed like she was telling them ghost stories. Many people were uneasy for a long time after each episode finished. It was named one of the best scary podcasts in Indonesia. She brought her live show, Conjuring Live, to Kuala Lumpur in July 2023. It was packed with more than 2,500 people. That they bring things that used to belong to their dead loved ones, she asked. She used these things to trick people. Ticket prices ranged from RM288 to RM688 and were quickly sold out. She brought the same show to Singapore's Star Theatre in December. There were no more seats available. There were 12 parts to the show that talked about life after death. It was more than just a show. People started to think about what they thought they knew about the ghost world. But Riana was having a hard time behind all the attention. As of 2019, she had lost track of where Sacred Riana stopped, and Marie, who she really was, started. It was known as dissociative identity conflict by doctors. She lived as Sacred Riana all the time. Her real name was no longer used. She used the third person to talk about herself. Her family and friends began to worry. Being herself was becoming less important to her. A doctor told her that her stage mask was like a part of her because she wore it so much. Her life fell apart in August 2023. Her grandfather had a stroke and died quickly. He was the last person who still called her Marie. He saw her again as a little girl who liked magic. She was very sad when he died. She didn't do any more shows for the year. She locked herself in her room. Not even her favorite doll could make her feel better. She spoke no more. She didn't want to do it. It was a thin wall between Holy Riana and the girl she used to be that the loss tore down. By October, she had lost it completely. She didn't say anything and didn't move much. Her group helped her. She made reservations at a private health spa in the country. Her fans didn't know where she went. She sat in the clinic alone with her doll in her lap and looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were lost as she looked for the girl she used to be. Her healing took a long time. It had been years since she had been able to take off her outfit and makeup without help. It made me sad and freed me. In treatment, she used magic tricks to remember how happy she used to be. She smiled and cried in December after doing a simple card trick for someone else. At the end of January 2024, she was stronger but still didn't know who she was. Riana was already famous all over the world. That August 31st, 2019, she went on the stage of Britain's Got Talent, the winners. All eyes were on them. The same talent won Asia's Got Talent in 2017 and scared a lot of people on America's Got Talent in 2018. Her shows had been watched more than 70 million times online. People thought that her creepy magic would once again make the judges speechless. But what took place shocked everyone. She didn't make it past the first round. She failed to move forward, even though she was famous and had a huge following. Fans were shocked. The critics were lost. The judges and the crowd didn't seem to care. They might have wanted something new and different. That night was the first night of her fall from grace on the World Talent Show stage. People had once said that her act was the creepiest in the history of Got Talent. Her early exit, on the other hand, showed how quickly fame can fade. Riana tried to come back in January 2023. She came back to America's Got Talent, all stars. Out of thousands of shows, only 60 were asked to come back. That alone showed what a difference she made. Over 84 million people watched her 2018 tryout. It was Simon Cowell who said she was memorable, but history kept repeating itself. She didn't make it past the first round. Howie Mandel said that he was really scared during her show. Fear wasn't enough, though. The judges didn't just want scary stories. The magic that seemed new at first now seemed old. It was clear after she was taken out. Both the public and the business had moved on. Once more, she learned that viral fame doesn't last and never will. She went to France in the fall of 2022. She was a contestant on season 17 of La France, and une toute une ability. She made it to the semifinals this time. In a place where judges are known to be tough, it was a big win. Marianne James was one of the judges who was shocked. The French press told everyone how great she was. In France, people were still interested in her scary images. They hadn't seen her as often. The puzzle was still going strong. It showed something important. In some places, something that seems old may still seem new in others. She was on Italia's Got Talent in September 2023. This was the one from Disney+, aimed at younger people. But things did not go well. That was the only round she made it through. The powerful thing she did seemed like something she would do anyway. Italian watchers who knew her from social media didn't like what they saw. This was a terrible time. A country that loves magic and drama didn't seem interested in her. The act that used to make the judges scream seemed normal now. What used to be fun was no longer fun. After that, she came back. In February 2024, she went back on stage in Australia. From February 2nd to 18th, she did the Holy Riana show in Perth by herself. She had never done a show in Australia before. Every single one of the 11 shows was sold out. Each ticket sold out in just a few days. There were lots of old and new fans in the magical hall. Some people left in the middle of the show because they couldn't handle the heat in the room. It wasn't just a return, it was a new start. All of her social media came back to life. She showed clips from the shows and talked about what went on behind the scenes. The run in Perth showed that she could still run a room. No one else could scare people as well as she could. But now something was different. People were no longer just scared by her show. It told a story, one about the author. Riana used her illusions to start to deal with her sadness, loss, and fame. She asked a scary question. What do you do when the ghost you fear is you? Now, her magic was a mix of scary and sad. She even used things that people brought into the show in her acts. This made each show special and one of a kind. She behaved in ways she had not previously displayed. People were shocked by this new direction. It changed what a magic show was all about as well. Riana loved being on stage more than she ever had before. It was how she stayed alive. She said in interviews that acting made her feel like a real person again. The 2024 shows were honest and real. People saw how weak she was beneath the horror. Every act was like letting go of feelings. She made herself and the audience face facts that were hard to hear. Her shows were a place where people could feel both scared and healed. For those who saw her live, it was more than just fun. These events showed that art can heal and that people are strong.